Alright YouTube, here's a little update on some of my projects. I know the channel's been kind of dead lately. I haven't been doing an awful lot, it seems, but I actually have. Just it's all been behind the camera, behind the scenes, so I've been really busy. So this video is going to go over some of my projects, including this yerf dog I got here, and as well as the Zundapp and my hot rod over there, and also probably going to talk about a few other subjects that the channel might go through in the time to come. But anyway, first part of this video is about the yerf dog here. So I got this yerf dog and a trailer, which is over here, for 800 bucks. So the trailer was about a $200 deal and the yerf dog was about $600. And it ran, but it didn't run well. It had its original carburetor on it, and they did some stuff to the wiring. The rectifier was removed out of the system, and it seems to be okay with that. I think they have it hooked up to charge the battery anyway, but I'm not totally sure about that. We've kind of hunted down some of the wiring a little bit, played with it, but this has been our resolve so far. It seems to run this way. Now, you may have noticed that what is on there right now is not original. The carburetor, that is Electron single slide carburetor, kind of an aftermarket performance carb. These are not cheap, but I got this one for cheap because I got lucky. And it runs like this. The reason I replaced the carburetor, and first I guess I'll show you, I was having issues with the old carb, and I did a lot of cleaning and stuff to no avail. I also played with the needle height adjustment on it, and it's just kind of a goofy carburetor that they have on there. It doesn't, I don't know, they seem to have a lot of problems, and I was not having much success. I could get the go-kart running, but when I'd give it full throttle, it wouldn't give me full power, no matter what I did. As you can see, it runs pretty good. And yes, this will give me full throttle. So that's exactly why I did that. Originally, I was working on this beast here. This is a double setup carburetor. They have a butterfly valve, excuse me, right here, which causes a vacuum further up into the intake manifold, which is fed by this vacuum line into this unit here, which causes this diaphragm inside here to pull up and causes this slide to open up. So it's a double setup, and it does work. I had the air filter off and I throttled it up, and I actually could see this slide was going all the way to the top. But the go-kart at full throttle just simply would not give me the power. Now when we first got the go-kart, all we did was ride around with it and try to get it going. I had never really looked at where the carburetor was mounted or how. Carburetor was kind of mounted like how I'm holding it right now. I noticed that, so I straightened it out. I took the little tooth here that's designed to fit into the two acceptor teeth on the boot, and I lined it up. And when I did that, a bunch of gas started pouring out of it. So the floats are obviously not doing their job. So we took the float bolt down, balanced the floats, got them to do their job, and I thought that was going to fix the problem, and it didn't. It still ran rough. It just fixed the flooding issue, but it was still running fairly rough, wouldn't give us full throttle. So the next best thing is to check your jets, and I did. They were clean. So I determined it was likely running rich, not lean. And the next suggestion is to adjust this needle valve. Now this needle valve is adjusted with little spacer washers, so I bumped it all the way to the bottom, which is the leanest setting it had to offer, and it still ran rich. So then I tried in the opposite direction, and that didn't work either. So basically at this point I'm getting tired of this thing, and now it's starting to only want to run with the fuel enricher fully open, or fully closed or whatever. Basically choking the carburetor was the only way it was going to run, and it still wouldn't give me full power. So that's why I stuck that Electron on there, and we did that with a little bit of modification. So the original cable end here, this guy, is a bit too big, excuse me, to fit into that Electron carburetor. That takes a much smaller bead because it's kind of a carburetor for ATVs and dirt bikes. So the end is a little different, but you can see here there's a little gold, you might be able to see that, I should have brought my light. There's a little gold cable end piece there. That's a universal cable end piece. They basically have like a little screw in them, and you can stick them on pretty much anything. They're a godsend, honestly. They're really cheap. They come in multiple sizes, They usually come in a pack of 12 and they'll give you 3 different sizes or 4 different sizes. That's these guys right here I'm talking about. Originally I bought these for this. Now here's the part with the Zundapp. So you've probably been wondering what's been going on with this bike. As you can see, I attempted some paint on it, but it peeled off on the one side because it was too wet the day that I decided to do it. Stuck on the other side. It's just a rattle can paint job, and I can do it again, honestly. Now this thing runs. Once she revs up, but as you probably saw, it's running pretty damn rich. So I've been all up and down all over this carburetor here, and I even stuck that Electron carburetor before mentioned on this bike, and by the way, it likes that carburetor. That was the original reason I had bought that carburetor, was to fit on this bike, but back when I did that was about 8-9 years ago, before I did all the cylinder work on this thing, so back then it didn't equal anything. That's the amazing thing about those Electron carburetors too, is as you saw, it works. It's 10 years it's been sitting on a shelf, between 8 and 10 years, and with old gaskets, and it still runs. I'll bet it would run better if I went through the whole thing and cleaned it up and got better seals on it. It's probably got a few vacuum leaks. Anyway, back to this thing. This carburetor comes with foam floats, and I had new ones put in there, and I made sure the needle seat is, not needle seat, the valve that the floats control, I made sure that that's shutting off. It is shutting off. You know, it's definitely an old one. I wish I could replace it. I can't find that part, unfortunately. It's not out there. But I can't. I can trust it anyway, excuse me, because I've tested it and it's working. Like I sit there with my hands and I can control the floats, and it does shut off. So I know that that's good. I've tried rejetting this carburetor about 5 different times now. 5 different sets of jets. I own pretty much every set of jets that the Bing 53 carburetor can offer, at least for this bike, and to no avail. We have the leanest set in there right now, and it's still running kind of rich. Does the needle look good? Yes, it looks good. So I'm not really exactly sure why she's running rich. It could be a combination of the floats getting stuck down, and the floats, they also get stuck up, by the way. Sometimes this thing will start to run away like it did in the previous videos, but it's not because of a crank seal leak this time. It's just that the float bowl will drain itself. Sometimes the floats don't seem to work. Anyway, I decided not to trust those foam floats, and I got lucky. There is a set of plastic floats that existed for this carburetor, and I found one on eBay, and I bought it. And it was a good investment because it has improved the running conditions of the bike, but it's still a little rough. I don't know if you can expect me to be hitting the trail on this thing anytime soon. It's really more of a preservation piece that I'm doing. A little bit of my own custom flair on it, of course, because it's a little rough. But anyway, yeah, I just figured I'd update you guys on this one because I still got a long way to go. You may notice this cable's hanging here. This is the speedometer cable, and the only one available is this rear one, this one that goes to the rear tire. Now that would normally go on the left side of the bike, but this bike had right side, excuse me. This bike had right side brakes, so there's nowhere to mount that speedometer on this side, and the chain's too big on this side. There's no way to get it on here. So what I found, pictures-wise, of the enduro version of this bike is the gearbox is mounted here. Now, yeah, I know, it looks bad. We're going to make this a little more professional in a little bit. This was just for proof of concept, because without this thing will start to turn. This is working. However, because of the direction, I want you to take note here of where the gearbox worm gear drive there is. It's on the back side right now. I managed to find 2 sets of speedometers. One I put together myself. That's this guy here, brand new, never been used. And I bought a separate gear drive here for it, Smith's gear drive, 2-to-1. Look at the way it is. I didn't notice this until just today. That goes on the other side. So this gearbox here came in a set with a speedometer on eBay. I found that set a few weeks back, and I bought it just because I wanted to have a spare set. And unfortunately today, we had a little incident. I really hate to show you that, but that wasn't there earlier this morning. That happened today, just today. I had it sitting on the bike, it fell off the bike and hit the ground face down, of course, and now we've got damage on a fairly cherry speedometer. Sucks. Oh well, I guess I'll have to go on eBay and see if I can get that bezel ring in glass, and maybe I can at least restore it. I really am kind of pissed off about that. But anyway, I had bought this speedometer with this bracket and that gear drive all in one set for less money than I paid for the brand new speedometer. And I decided I was just gonna stick it on the bike here, and when I put it on the bike and had the speedometer just kind of sitting there, kind of test mounted, I spun the tire, it was spinning the speedometer the wrong direction, so it wouldn't count up in speed, and the miles were actually turning backward on it. So at first I thought, oh gee, I've got a real big problem here. How the heck do you solve that? The only solve I can see is that if it was the gear drive being mounted on this side right here would change that, but there's no way to do that. So I just noticed this morning that this is in the opposite direction, which basically means my fix is going to be simple. I'm just going to stick that guy on there and it should spin the speedometer in the opposite direction, so we'll be fine. Obviously, like I was saying before, I'm a little irritated about what happened here. There was another thing I never noticed. You notice this bracket has two mounting holes here on both sides, and it's a bit longer. This is the guy I bought. This is the wrong deal for this bike. That's what they recommended to me, and it doesn't fit. This, however, fits. It'll fit right into this bolt pattern here. You take those all out, and you can stick this on. The only thing is, these bolts are a bit too fat. They're a bit too wide, so it won't accept, it won't go through these holes. So I had to go to the hardware store and get thinner bolts for that, but I will be able to mount this thing up. I guess I'm going to use this one, because now that it's got damage on it, yeah, I don't see the use in using a perfectly brand new one and getting damage on that one too. God, that sucks. That's going to bug me for a while. But yeah, anyway, this project does run, as you heard. And I've ridden it up and down a hill a few times. Even with how smoky it is, it's still got a decent amount of power. When the float bowl goes down enough, it gives me every bit of what it's got. So that just leaves me with one other project to talk about. The 442. And originally, when I was doing this manual conversion, see, I've had this car for a long time, me and my dad have, and we've worked on it quite a bit together. We restored it twice now, because it got into an accident not too long ago. And after that accident, I decided I wanted a manual car. So I went ahead and did the craziest thing, took my 3-speed 400 Hydromatic out and put a Muncie 4-speed in with a console and all this business. Now, I had mentioned I was going to do, maybe about a year ago or 2 years ago, I was going to do a video all about manual conversion on this on GMA bodies, at least for the 442 of this year. And I took a bunch of footage of us doing this, but I never got around to editing any of it because it was just so long and we were so busy. I just didn't have any time. I was kind of getting stressed out at all the things that I had to do here. So instead of doing the video, I just kind of enjoyed my my time with the car and didn't. I took footage, but I never bothered to edit it. Possibly in the future I may go back and do that video, because we did have a lot of useful information. I mean, there's an awful lot to converting an automatic car to a manual. I mean, every little thing that you think is going to work doesn't work, you know. You forget about things like the old speedometer. I mean, the new one I've got in there doesn't have this park, reverse, neutral drive, SL, you know, second and low. And then the pedal bracket too, you know. Just little things that you kind of forget about. It's a lot more than just cutting a hole in the floor and sticking a different transmission in. But even the hole in the floor is not that simple either. There's a special metal bracket piece that you're supposed to put on around. It's kind of like a pre-boot or holds the boot. And there's two boots as well. There's a lower boot and an upper, more professionalized boot if you have the console, which we do. So yeah, I may go over this car at some point in time in the projects. I'm not sure. Now the reason I decided, again, to cue in you guys about this, if you guys are the people that watch my channel for the exploration videos, like the mines and stuff that we do, I kind of figured that having my dirt bikes I should say, but one's in the shop right now, and this yerf dog introduced to you guys would be a good idea because, well, we may be using these to get to some of those mines. I still plan on doing a lot of those mine videos, but maybe not to as much as I was doing before because I'm really busy these days, and as you can tell, I do an awful lot of things and I lose track of some more important events in life. So we'll just have to see where my channel goes, what I've got time to edit and stuff. Same with the gaming videos. I'm not sure how much I'm going to be doing of that anymore. It's not really costly to find content, like to go mining for the content. It's not really all that costly. It's just having the budget for the games and having the time budget for the editing. And I don't want to copy any one channel either. I want to be somewhat original, so, you know, it's an awful lot. Airsoft videos, I'm still going airsofting, but again, I haven't been recording much. This camera I'm holding right now is the camera I use to go exploring mines and stuff. It's also my scope camera, and I'm getting kind of tired of using it as a scope camera because, well, as you can imagine, it's a little bit of an expensive camera, and I don't really want to damage it. It's already covered in all kinds of tape, glue, and dirt and stuff. I tried my best to protect this thing by covering it in like a little bit of a camo layer of tape and rifle wrap, but I don't really want to risk it anymore. It's already got a couple damage marks on it, and I'd like to keep it nice for the remainder of its life. So I'm still airsofting, I'm still getting out there, I just don't know how much I'm going to film. The other thing is, you know, you guys, when I play airsoft and stuff, I know that you guys don't necessarily want to see the same video over and over and over again, you know, and since I haven't really been going to different play environments, that's kind of another reason why I haven't bothered with airsoft lately for recording it anyways. It's just kind of one of those things where, you know, I don't figure that you guys want to be bored seeing the same play course and the same play styles over and over again. However, the last time I went airsofting, I kind of wish I had recorded it because I did really well at South Sound last time. Better than the last video of South Sound I took. So yeah, I kind of wish I would have recorded it, but again, my time is thin these days. So yeah, there may be a couple game videos coming up. I'm not sure. I've been thinking about doing a review on GTA 4 versus GTA 5 and some of the things I like versus things I don't like, but I'm not totally sure. I'm also working on a couple small projects with my buddy. He wants to do a little bit of gaming stuff, so we're kind of doing a little bit of a pilot thing and seeing how that's going to go. But yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that my time is kind of thin these days, so I'm not really sure just how much of any direction I can offer. But there will be some videos of this thing running around. And, you know, as you can see, I kind of like to modify things. I also forgot to mention I added that CDI box that everybody raves about to the GY6 engine, and it seems to be marginally better. It's definitely not an amazing flaming paint job better, but there's some other stuff I want to do to this thing. I got the triple fire spark plug on there, triple bridge, and the slightly upgraded ignition module there, and I gotta do some other stuff to this thing. We've got an exhaust pipe here that's kind of rubbish. I'd like to come up with a better exhaust system. So yeah, anyway, that's about all I've got to say for a channel update. So we'll see what I get done here in the future.